The morning sun spills over the Indian Ocean like liquid gold, and Elena Cruz steps barefoot onto the wooden deck of her overwater villa. Her laughter echoes through the still air. A woman wrapped in the illusion of forever. The Maldives gleam like a postcard, but something about her smile feels rehearsed. Daniel Foster watches her from behind the camera, whispering how perfect she looks, yet his eyes linger too long, too heavy. How can paradise feel so fragile? How does someone vanish in a place where the ocean never sleeps? And why does love, when filmed, look so close to fear? The waves rise gently beneath the villa, as if already rehearsing a secret they'll soon have to keep. The next morning, Elena films another vlog segment, a radiant smile masking her sleepless night. Her followers will see turquoise waters and champagne breakfasts, not the argument that erupted when the cameras were off. Daniel kisses her cheek for the shot, but his grip tightens a little too long. She laughs it off, her eyes flicking toward the sea. Somewhere beneath the calm, the ocean hums with quiet warning. By afternoon, the couple explores the island, an image of joy for the world to see. But while Daniel jokes with resort staff, Elena lingers near the coral shore, her eyes tracing the horizon as if searching for a way out. She records quick clips, laughing on cue, her voice just a note too high. The illusion of happiness edits easily, but silence never lies. That evening, the resort hosts a candlelit dinner on the beach. Laughter ripples from other couples, but at Elena's table, tension sits like a third guest. Daniel raises a toast to forever, and she forces a smile. The camera clicks, capturing their reflection in the wine glasses. Paradise feels smaller when you're afraid to speak. Night deepens. Elena stands on the deck once more, the sea black beneath her. She checks her camera's playback, her smiling face staring back, lying for her own audience. She whispers, "I just want to go home." Somewhere behind her, a door creaks open, and Daniel's shadow spills across the wooden floor. The third morning begins with silence. No laughter, no music, only the sound of the ocean pressing softly against the villa posts. Elena sits at the breakfast table staring at untouched fruit. Daniel scrolls through his phone, pretending not to notice her red eyes. Last night's argument had broken something small, but vital, between them. "You promised me peace," she whispers. He looks up, his face expressionless. The camera she used to love now lies face down on the table, its red light blinking like a heartbeat. How does love sour so quickly? And when does devotion start to feel like captivity? Later that day, Elena records another vlog. Her voice bright, her eyes dull. "We're having the best time ever," she says into the lens, her tone cracked at the edges. Daniel walks past behind her, glancing at the camera, his smile thin as paper. When the clip ends, she exhales shakily, saving the file under a name no one will notice. Backup, NP4. The ocean roars outside, loud enough to hide a sob. That evening, they attend a group snorkeling trip. Beneath the clear blue surface, everything feels unreal. Fish gliding like scattered jewels, sunlight rippling through water. But when Elena surfaces, Daniel isn't beside her. She spots him at the edge of the reef, watching, not waving. Later, when she asks why he left her, he shrugs. "You seemed fine." His calm voice chills her more than the ocean ever could. Night falls heavy and humid. Inside the villa, a storm gathers outside and within. Rain taps against glass as Elena sits by the window, phone to her ear. "Nadia, I can't talk long," she whispers. Her friend's worried voice crackles from Madrid. "Lena, are you okay?" A pause. "If anything happens, don't believe the story." The call cuts out just as thunder splits the sky. Behind her, Daniel's reflection appears on the glass, silent, watching. The next day, the storm clears, but the silence doesn't. Daniel smiles for the staff, jokes at the bar, but his eyes keep darting to Elena. She walks alone along the pier, her camera in hand, recording fragments of waves, footprints, and wind. Her voice is low. Sometimes I think paradise is where people go to disappear. That clip will never make it online. It will be found later in a deleted folder titled Drafts. By dusk, the sky has turned a bruised purple. The resort staff rush to secure umbrellas and boats as a tropical storm brews over the horizon. Elena stands on the deck, filming the waves rising higher with each gust. Her voice trembles as she jokes, "Maybe the ocean's jealous of us." Daniel doesn't laugh. He stares at the rolling clouds instead, his reflection swallowed by glass and lightning. The first drop of rain hits her camera lens, blurring her smile. The air smells like salt and static, the kind of air that remembers tragedy long after it's gone. The storm hits fast. Thunder crashes as rain pounds against the villa roof. Power flickers off, plunging the room into darkness. Elena lights a small candle, its flame shaking like her hands. "We should call for help," she says. Daniel's voice cuts through the thunder. "It's just rain." Outside, the wind howls like a living thing. Inside, silence grows between them, thick and heavy. When the lights return, Daniel is no longer in the room. Security footage later shows fragments, not the full truth, only flickers. 10:42 p.m., the hallway camera catches Daniel walking toward the deck, barefoot, shirt soaked. 10:44, the lens fogs from the storm. At 10:46, a figure, likely Elena, appears near the edge, then vanishes as the screen glitches. 6 minutes later, the feed resumes, showing the door wide open and Daniel alone, dripping wet. He calls the front desk, voice steady. "My wife's missing." By dawn, the sea calms as if nothing ever happened. Search boats glide across the glassy water, their engines humming softly. Guests whisper over breakfast while resort staff avoid eye contact. When the first body is spotted near the reef, everything stops. A white cloth covers what's left of Elena's dress. Daniel stands on the pier, pale and unmoving. She slipped. He tells the officers, but Inspector Ravi Hassan, 45, watches from afar. And something in his gut says this story doesn't float. Hours later, inside the resort's medical hut, Dr. Kamil Nias, 39, examines Elena's body. Salt crystals line her lashes, but her bruises tell a different story. "These aren't from drowning," he murmurs. Daniel sits nearby, drenched and dazed, staring at his wedding ring as if it were someone else. Outside, the sun climbs bright and indifferent. Somewhere deep below the waves, the ocean keeps its secrets, but not forever. The resort shifts overnight from luxury to lockdown. Yellow tape flutters in the sea breeze as officers sweep through the villa where Elena spent her last hours. Inspector Ravi Hassan, 45, stands near the deck, staring at the faint scuff marks along the railing. "Too high for a slip," he murmurs. The manager hovers nearby, nervous about bad press. Daniel sits alone, sunglasses hiding eyes that haven't cried. Ravi looks at him. Calm, too calm. He's seen that calm before, in men who practice their sorrow in mirrors. Inside the small police station on the island, Ravi plays back the resort's CCTV footage. His eyes narrow at the timestamp. A 6-minute blackout right before Elena's disappearance. "Coincidence?" he mutters. The technician shakes his head. "The storm cut power, sir." But Ravi knows storms don't choose when to hide crimes. On the table lies Elena's camera, salt-crusted but intact. He presses play. The last video shows her laughing by the ocean, but her smile trembles before the frame cuts to black. Dr. Kamil Nias sits across from Ravi in the morgue, his gloves still damp from the autopsy. "She drowned," he says slowly, "but there were bruises on her wrists, restraint marks." Ravi leans forward, his jaw tightening. "So she fought." Kamil nods. "Yes. But not for long." Outside the window, tourists resume their day, laughing, drinking, oblivious to the truth lying cold inside the room. Paradise is already moving on. Daniel's interview begins that evening. Ravi watches him across the table. Calm posture, controlled breathing. "Tell me again," Ravi says. "How did your wife fall?" Daniel's voice wavers only slightly. "She went outside during the storm. I tried to stop her." Ravi nods but says nothing, scribbling notes. When Daniel looks up, he finds Ravi's eyes waiting, sharp, unmoving. Somewhere behind that gaze, Daniel feels the first flicker of panic. Guilt doesn't always shout. Sometimes it sits perfectly still. That night, Ravi walks the deserted beach outside the resort, his shoes sinking into wet sand. The wind carries echoes, laughter, waves, a voice in memory. He thinks of Elena's bruises, the missing minutes on tape, the ring that never turned up. He bends, picks up a small silver object half buried near the waterline. A wedding ring engraved with the words, "Forever yours." Ravi stares at it, the moon glinting off its edge. The ocean whispers, as if daring him to listen closer. 3 days after Elena's funeral, a courier delivers her damaged camera to the Spanish consulate for review. Nadia Torres receives it with shaking hands. She plays the last clips, moments of laughter, ocean waves, and then static. But between the static, a single frame freezes her blood. Elena's tear-streaked face, whispering, "He's not who you think he is." The room goes silent except for the hum of the laptop. Nadia covers her mouth, whispering back to the ghost in the screen, "What did he do to you?" Inspector Ravi reopens the evidence locker, his instincts screaming that something never fit. He replays the villa footage frame by frame, this time enhancing audio. Beneath the storm's roar, a faint voice surfaces, Elena's. "Stop recording." Then a thud. Then silence. Ravi exhales slowly. Lies unravel quietly, he thinks, like a thread pulled from a silk shirt. He grabs his phone and calls Nadia. "I think I have what you have." Their truths are finally beginning to meet. Ravi and Nadia meet over a video call. 2 worlds, 1 grief. "She knew," Nadia says through tears. "She told me she felt trapped." Ravi nods slowly. "And now we can prove it." He shows her the enhanced footage, Daniel's shadow moving toward Elena before the blackout. "He said he was asleep when she fell," Ravi adds. Nadia's face hardens. "Then let's wake him up." Across the ocean, 2 strangers form an alliance built not on law, but on justice. Ravi tracks down the resort's maintenance technician, the man who handled CCTV backup. The technician hesitates, eyes darting. "The manager told me to delete 6 minutes of footage. Said it was for privacy." Ravi's pen stops midair. "Privacy for who?" The man swallows hard. "For Mr. Foster." The truth lands like a stone in still water, rippling backward through every lie. Ravi's heart beats faster. He's not chasing a drowning anymore. He's chasing a cover-up. Ravi watches the final recovered footage. Timestamp 10:44 p.m. Elena stands near the deck railing, pleading, "Please, Daniel, just listen." He steps closer. Voice low but sharp. The wind swells, camera trembling. Then a sudden movement. Elena gasps. The lens jerks toward the floor, and darkness. Ravi pauses the frame, eyes burning. Outside, Waves crash endlessly against the shore. The truth isn't hidden anymore. It's just waiting for someone brave enough to say it out loud. The resort's conference room hums with tension. Lawyers, managers, and tourism officials crowd around a long, polished table. "We must protect the island's image," one executive insists. Inspector Ravi Hassan listens in silence, his badge glinting under cold light. "And what about protecting the truth?" he asks finally. The room stills. "It was a tragic accident," someone mutters. Ravi's jaw tightens. He's heard that line too many times. Outside, waves crash against the shore, carrying secrets they were never meant to keep. Back in London, Daniel sits before a row of cameras, giving his first interview since Elena's death. "She loved the sea," he says softly, eyes damp but unbroken. The journalist nods, unaware that the sincerity she sees is rehearsed. "I'm learning to heal," he continues, but off camera, his hand trembles. The interviewer doesn't notice the tiny scar on his wrist, or how he rubs it when he lies. The world watches a grieving husband. Only a few know they're watching a performance. Meanwhile, in the Maldives, Ravi meets with Dr. Kamil in secret. "They're closing the case," Kamil says bitterly. Ravi's eyes flash. "Not if I can help it." Kamil slides an envelope across the table. Photographs of Alina's bruises, the ones removed from official records. "If you use these, you'll lose your badge," Kamil warns. Ravi exhales. "Then I'll lose it for something that matters." The two men share a look, quiet understanding between those who have seen too much and can't stay silent. In Madrid, Nadia uploads fragments of Elena's vlogs online. Small pieces, careful timing. The internet responds instantly. Hashtags bloom, questions rise. Justice for Lena trends overnight. The same paradise that once sold honeymoon dreams is now trending for heartbreak and murder. "They can't silence her anymore," Nadia whispers, watching the views climb. For the first time since Elena's death, the world is finally listening. By morning, the world erupts. News anchors debate, influencers demand answers, and Daniel's name trends beside Elena's. Reporters swarm his London flat. "No comment," he mutters, face pale, hands shaking as flashbulbs explode. In the Maldives, Ravi's suspension notice arrives by courier, but he only smiles faintly. "Good," he whispers. "Now I can work freely. Justice doesn't need permission. It only needs the truth, and the truth is finally louder than the cover-up." A week after the global outcry, a notification pings on Nadia's laptop. A scheduled upload from Elena's YouTube account, time-stamped the day before her death. The title reads, "If you're watching this..." Nadia's hands tremble as she clicks play. On screen, Elena sits on the deck of her villa, hair loose in the sea breeze, eyes red from crying. "If you're watching this, I didn't make it home," she says softly. "He told me he'd never let me go." The ocean roars behind her. Nadia breaks down, realizing her friend had already said goodbye. She just hadn't heard it in time. The video spreads like wildfire, millions of views in hours. News anchors quote Elena's words, and old footage of the honeymoon resurfaces. Daniel hides behind drawn curtains in London as reporters chant his name outside. Then the police arrive. The video's timestamp, voice analysis, and the recovered bruising photos align perfectly. He opens the door, pale and silent, as handcuffs click around his wrists. The illusion of innocence shatters with a single flashbulb. Back in the Maldives, Inspector Ravi Hassan stands on the pier at sunrise, watching waves roll against the wood. He's been reinstated, but he feels no victory, only quiet relief. "She told her story herself," he murmurs. The ocean glitters softly, as if forgiving the island. Ravi drops Elena's recovered ring into the water. "Now you're home," he whispers. The ripples fade, gentle and final, carrying the last trace of a love that turned to loss. Weeks later, Nadia visits Elena's parents in Madrid, bringing flowers and a hard drive. Together they watch Elena's final vlog in full. No edits, no filters, just her voice. Paradise isn't always what it seems, Elena says in the recording. Her mother clutches her chest. Her father looks toward the window, whispering a prayer. Nadia places a hand over the screen. She didn't die silent, she says softly. The world heard her. Outside, church bells ring faintly, not in mourning, but in remembrance. Months later, the waves still lap gently against the same villa deck where it all began. The resort has reopened. New guests, new laughter. But if you stand there long enough, when the tide is low, you can hear faint echoes of a woman's voice carried by the wind. If you're watching this, it's not haunting. It's not tragic. It's a reminder. Some truths sink, others rise, and this one reached the surface at last. Elena Cruz's paradise became her prison, but her story became her freedom.